Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for the next episode in the My Team series. Today I have a man who once won £75,000 playing fantasy football a few years ago and is a very good and just esteemed sort of person in the community. Obviously does the Green Arrow podcast on this channel, which is my favorite podcast in FPL. I actually watched that podcast all the time before I was even on this channel, being completely honest. Fergi, a pleasure to have you on, mate. How are you doing?
I'm really good, mate. I'm not sure about esteemed, but definitely nice to hear that you watch the pod. You're allowed to say it. Yeah, great to see that you were watching the Green Arrow long before you were on here. And yeah, I'm super excited for the season. I mean, all the transfers and the rule changes have just made this season, I think, one like no other. I can't remember a season where there's just everything's so blown wide open in terms of player pool, in terms of strategy. And yeah, spoiler alert, I'm going out of the blocks, mate. I've got a really aggressive chip strategy because I think there's, amongst the chaos, I think there's massive opportunity in these sort of unprecedented times. So I'm going for it.
Wow. Yeah, you guys would have seen in the title and maybe the thumbnail as well, but this is going to be a team reveal like no other. I don't know your exact strategy, but I know that, well, I haven't seen anyone else really that's planning to go as aggressive as this, not just using one chip, but like really going for it early, setting yourself up potentially for a great season. We'll get into that, of course, as we go through your team. But for now, let's just jump into it. As always, we will be building this on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool, which will then give us the team rating your team, Fergie, at the end of this, so we can compare how good it is compared to other guests that we've had on the channel and to all of you guys as well. We'll get a team rating out of 100%. And yeah, you can then input your team into the site for absolutely free. It takes a couple of clicks. All you got to do is upload a screenshot. It's as simple as that. You don't have to go through and put every player in like we're going to do for the sake of this video. You can see that on screen right now. But yeah, absolutely free. Link down below in the description and the pinned comment if you want to see who's got a better team, you or Fergie. Anyway, Fergie, mate, let's get into it. Really excited to hear about your chip strategy, but for now, let's start with the goalkeepers.
Yeah, so keepers. So I've gone for 4.5 million keepers. Obviously, a lot of the price points are sort of subject to change, on transfers and stuff. So I've started off with 4.5 million keepers. Obviously, these are subject to change. They're just sort of price points at the moment. But at the moment, I've gone for Bruggen of Brighton, who's home to Fulham in Gameweek 1. And I've gone for Reifs, I believe you pronounce it, who is the new Sunderland keeper,
Wow.
4.5 million, who is home to West Ham in Gameweek 1 and Brentford in Gameweek 3. You'll see a theme here of home players, which is part of the strategy. I've gone super heavy at the back. I'm just looking at it. I didn't realize that my cheapest defender is 5.5 million. But I'll run through it now. So I'm going for going for Cucurella, Chelsea. Hoping he starts game week 1. He's home to Palace in game week 1, home to Fulham in game week 3. I thought he looked incredibly dangerous towards the end of last season. Good Club World Cup, looks nailed at left back. I know they've signed a new player, but he reminds me a bit, not so much of the way he plays, but the point potential of when Alonso was sort of in his pomp at Chelsea, very attacking. So I really like the look of him with 2 home games in the first 3. I have gone for Virgil van Dijk ahead of the other Liverpool defensive assets. Just think he's nailed for 90, really good attacking threat, and obviously with the new defensive contribution bonus as well, he should do well there. I've got double Forest defense in Milenkovic and Murillo.
Wow.
Home to Brentford in game week 1, home to West Ham in game week 3. Lots of defensive contribution potential, both good attackers, play for a really good defense. I don't think they've conceded hardly any goals in pre-season. Forest haven't scored many, but they haven't conceded many either. So I really like the look of them. And I'm saving my favorite defender until last, the 5.5 million. I'm a Spurs fan as well. Pedro Porro, who I just think I think he's been overlooked personally. He finished the season again really well. I think there was a bit of a 3-way rotation with the Cups. with himself, Udogie, and Jed Spence. It looks like Porro from pre-season is starting the big games. He's on some set pieces and stuff. So home to Burnley in game week 1, home to Bournemouth in game week 3. I'm really, really high on Spurs with those starting fixtures, and I love Porro. Obviously, really, really expensive in defence. It's probably not a surprise to say that at the moment I haven't got Salah or Haaland in my team, but I have got.
Wow.
I've got a pumped front 8, really pumped front 8. So I'm starting with Palmer.
Hang on. I got to slow you down here. I've just got to slow you down because I'm sort of gobsmacked so far as to what I'm seeing. I'm just doing the maths in my head.
Have you worked out the strategy?
Well, this is the thing. I'm sort of like
I've dropped a few clues.
Yeah. Well, clearly you're going when you have 5 defenders like this, and I don't think you're going to be playing a back 5 most weeks, given that you've just said you have a pump front 8. Do you want to like get into that now, or shall we let's just do the team first, and then you can explain, I think, the strategy. But I was just doing the maths here on how much you've spent in the defense. I'm not very good at mental math, so I've lost the number, but it's something like it's almost 30 million. It might be 29.5 million, something like that. I think that's about right. Is that right? No, it can't be. 28.5.
Yeah,
that's what it must be. It's a lot of money in defense.
So I'll keep dropping the same clue over and over to see if you can guess by the end of the team what my strategy is. Okay. But I keep saying all these players are home in game week 1 and they're home in game week 3. I'll just leave that hanging in the air, Jack. See if you can work out what I might be doing a bit later on. So,
I see.
But yeah, I still think I've got a pretty pumped midfield and attack still. It all depends on your perspective. But I've gone for Cole Palmer of Chelsea. I know he had a very, very indifferent season last year. And if I do end up going for Salah, he'd probably be the one who would drop out. And I'd have to obviously work some things around to release the other 4 million. But as you can see, I've got plenty of money in defence. I can probably head down to. So I'll probably end up going for Salah or Palmer. At the moment, I really like this team. So I'm going for Palmer. I am going for Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa, who I think looks, I think he looks incredibly cheap. Again, really good fixture, I think, in game week 1. That Newcastle fixture, in particular, the way that Newcastle are looking at the moment, I think is really, really good. They got Brentford in 2 and Palace in 3. Really good. And I've gone for double Liverpool midfield. Now, this may seem very, very current, and it probably is, and I'm not absolutely set on it, but at the moment, look at Liverpool's fixtures. So they're home to Bournemouth at game week 1, which is obviously a superb fixture. There's no getting away from it that if Salah does go and bang, no matter what chip strategy I play, if these 2 other players blank, I'll be in trouble. But they're home to Bournemouth at game week 1. They're away to Newcastle in game week 2, and they're home to Arsenal in game week 3. I'm not really that concerned about the Arsenal game in game week 3. So I don't particularly just want to pick one player for one match, if that makes sense. But I am plumping at the moment, and again, there's still 9 days or 8 days until the deadline. I'm going for Wirtz, who's playing in that number 10 role for Liverpool. Looks a really good prospect, set piece, fabulous player, and maybe fresh off the back of it. But it looks like Gakpo at the moment may have a clear run on that left hand side, with obviously Diaz leaving. I know they got the youngster. I just can't see him getting loads of minutes. He may get 10, 15 minutes at the end of games, but it's pre-season. I think he's 16 years old. Just can't see him stealing starts off Gakpo. So, and now that it looks like Nunes has gone as well, I think Gakpo is probably assured minutes on that left-hand side for the start of the season anyway, which is all I'm really focusing my players on here at the moment.
Yeah, nice picks. 4% owned. I've not really seen him in many teams at all. I think he is one that potentially could get into some teams by the deadline. I like him a lot. Yeah, he's looked good so far in preseason. I don't know if this is if there's any sort of comfort to you, but in our last video with last year's FPL winner Lovro, he had Rodgers, he had Wirtz, he had double Forest defense as well.
Oh wow, brilliant!
So maybe it's I really liked his team. This is a different team so far, but a few similar
There's-
players.
And my kind of thinking on the Salah thing, is that if Salah does go ahead and pop off and really score well, you would hope that Gakpo and Wirtz would also be somewhere within the points as well, either with assists or if Salah gets an assist for a Gakpo goal, for example. I quite like Akiteke as well at 8.5, but obviously we're going to wait to see what happens with Isak first. 'Cause I think if Isak signs and is playing for Liverpool in game week 1, which I think is very unlikely at the moment in terms of him starting for Liverpool in
Yeah.
game week 1, then I think that switches a few things around. But yeah, my fifth midfielder, there's so it's a 6.5 midfield. I think there's lots of really really good options at this price point. At the moment, I'm going for Njai of Everton, away to Leeds in game week 1. They got Wolves in game week 3. I'm tempted by Kudus. Obviously, with Son leaving, I think that gives Kudus potentially a clear run. But I do think he'll share a lot of minutes. I think there's lots of Spurs midfielders, lots of Spurs wingers in particular. So
Okay.
that 6.5 is kind of up for grabs still. There's a fair few players in there, but I'm currently on an Njai, but Kudus is definitely in my thinking there as well. So I personally think that's a pretty stacked midfield. Obviously, without the Salah,
Yeah.
the captaincy option. Up front, I've gone for a really strong 3. I would really love to get to Ollie Watkins, and I can't get to him as it stands at the moment. But like again, if I do have a reshuffle at some point, I would really like to get Watkins in. But this is obviously sort of fitness based, but Dom Solanke, I think that if he's fit for game week 1, which I'm hoping he is, I think that Burnley game is really, really nice. I think Spurs, Spurs are going to be a different proposition completely to Thomas Frank, which is why I also like Porro as well. So he's in. I've also at the moment got João Pedro,
Okay.
7.5 million. I know he's a sort of expected minutes risk potentially. Might not be on penalties. It's more of a form sort of pick than anything. Obviously, with other players leaving as well, looks like Jackson may be on the way out as well. I do think he'll start in game week 1. His ownership, was he 50+% ownership as
Yeah.
well? It's kind of scary. But I do think it's a pick in his own right. He's good, and my third one, he's a bit of a hero for me last season, and I can't look past him still at the moment. But Chris Wood
Yeah.
makes it as my third forward. 7.5 million, home to Brentford, game week 1. Brentford have been decimated really, and they've got West Ham as well in game week 3. So even though Wood could be, your sort of archetypal one shot, one goal, 8 points or 9 points, that is is kind of critical really when you're looking for a really balanced team. So if you look at the full 15 players there, they're all playing at home. They all play at home in game week 1. They all play at home in game week 3. I think they've all got really good fixtures.
Okay, so that is the team then, and it's just like it's so stacked. Obviously, like maybe the only negative is that you don't have Salah or Haaland. But apart from that, like that is ridiculous. It's.
I think so. I really
insane.
like it. I think there's points potential all over the pitch, and I think it's fairly obvious now that I'll be playing bench boost in game week 1. And the reason I'll be doing that is I feel well, there's a few reasons. The first reason is I'll have to play a bench boost in a single game week. So why not set your team up to play a bench boost rather than have to later on use transfers to set up your bench boost in a bench boost in a future week. So
Yeah.
that's the first reason. The second reason is I want a fast start. Now my feeling is there will be lots and lots of managers. We're going to see all these additional chips, and they're going to go hell for leather. And some will get lucky, some will play them really well, some will get lucky, and some won't do that well, right? But I still think if you've got a pretty average team going into game week 1 and you score an average amount of points, I don't know, like a 60-point game week, you would think, oh, I'm happy with that. You could you could be down at 6 or 7 million, right?
Yeah.
There'll be lots of people using chips in game week 2, lots of people using chips in game week 3, and in game week 4, probably, and in game week 5, and then there'll be wildcards played. You could have a steady start to the season and end up at 5 or 6 million come game week 5 or 6. And I know you'll have your chips in hand, but climbing that way, basically for the rest of the season, to me, doesn't sound much fun. And I feel that there is an opportunity to get out of the blocks. And I also think that when you're chasing as opposed to when you're defending or when you're in a reasonable position. I think you play differently. I think you
Yeah,
play
100%.
differently,
Yeah.
and you also enjoy the game. These last few seasons probably haven't had the seasons I wanted, and it's been hard to enjoy it when you're constantly looking up at all these teams above you. Whereas I want to get off to a fast start. So the risk is Salah, obviously, because I could end up doing this. Salah could score a hat trick in game week 1, and I'm still 30 points behind after playing the bench boost,
Mm.
right? So I need to think about that. Um, but that's my strategy for game week 1. If you look at all the fixtures for game week 3 in this same team,
Well, I'll
most
go
of
to it
them are
now
really,
on our
yeah, yeah.
yeah, my team tool, which is one of my favorite parts about this entire thing. I've not really had a chance to mention it yet so far this year, just because we're talking about Game Week 1 squads a lot of the time. But yeah, you can click through your team and see how it looks for Game Week 1. I don't know why the FPL itself doesn't do this. It's like
Yeah, I agree.
it's so important to be able to do this and really visualize how your team works. It's probably my favorite aspect of Fantasy Football Hub. But yeah, as you said, looking at Game Week 3, really strong home fixtures again.
Exactly that. And even look at the bench there. You're still benching Solanke, Miller, and Rogers. So I've got the pick of who to play there really in game week 3. Obviously, I can't bench who's again in game week 3, but I really like the look of that. Now, sandwiching that, I'm going to play uber aggressive. Obviously, because if you look at my game week 2 team, it's not great. But I'm going to play the free hit in game week 2, and I'm going to target Arsenal, for example. I could go into game week 2
Yeah.
with Saka, Rice, Jokeresh, or whoever. There's so many different options. If you look at the teams for game week 2, there's Arsenal there, there's Bournemouth there, Palace home to Forest, City home to Spurs. If Spurs don't start off too well, so I'll probably end up having almost like 11 home players again in game week 2. So bench boost game week 1, free hit game week 2, play out game week 3 with a really good team. Hopefully get off to a pretty good start. I mean, even if I don't have the best start, I just still have a fairly decent lead over a lot of my rivals, and
Yeah.
then I'm going to wild card then in game week 4 to set myself up
Wow.
for the remaining sort of, what would that be, 10 or 11 game weeks until you get the AFCON transfers.
Yeah, good point.
So
Great point. Wow. Can you just explain to people what that is? Because I don't think I've mentioned it so far actually in this series this year. Because again, people aren't looking as long term as that. But for people that may not know,
yeah, so FPL have introduced a new rule this season. So AFCON is in the winter, and what normally happens is that lots of players. Salah is the highest sort of profile player who goes off to AFCON, as well as other African players, and it leaves massive holes in your team, really. But what FPL are doing, I think it's ahead of game week 16, is
yeah,
they're topping up your transfers up to 5, regardless of how many you've got. So you could have 0 transfers in the bank, they'll top up to 5 at game week 16. If you've got 4 in the bank, they top up to 5 on game week 16. So you can sort of limp through, game weeks 13, 14, and 15, and get that huge top up in game week 16, which is like a mini wild card. So by playing my wild card early in game week 4, I think I'll get a good look of early form, look of early starters, look who the enablers are, look at the must-haves, look at the bench fodder, and should be able to pick up a pretty decent team. Obviously, for the remaining sort of 9 or 10 weeks, I'm going to be up against people playing free hits, playing bench boots, wherever else. But like I say, I'm a manager as well, who I don't like just having them sat there waiting and constantly thinking every week, I'm gonna have to play my bench boost soon. I have to play my bench boost soon. I'd rather play it, get out of the way, and forge that team from game week 4, onwards, and hopefully have a healthy-ish lead.
wow,
Salah is the key
yeah,
piece in the puzzle for this. And at the moment, I'm struggling to make a bench boost team I want for game week 3 that has got Salah, unless I don't have Palmer. So I need to give that a bit more thought. But I just feel like FPL has changed this season with all these rules, and I just feel like I don't want to be 6 or 7 million come game week 4 or 5, and then I've had a green arrow, I've had a red arrow, and just keep hovering. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to catch up because you'll have the masses some of them will play incredibly well, like I say, but some of them will also get really lucky. And, there could be a week where, a lot of the masses go with Ekiteke or Gakpo, for example, against Salah, and Gakpo goes and scores 2 goals and Salah somehow blanks, for example, and all of a sudden you're further behind again and further behind again. So I appreciate it's very rogue. I appreciate it's probably not it's not commonplace, it's not the template, but I do feel that the potential upside here far outweighs the potential negative, thing of or even if I don't, even if it doesn't bang as I hoped, I haven't lost an awful lot. I can still play the rest of the season. So, yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited, mate. I'm
I don't
really
know where
excited.
to begin in my reactions to that, because I have so many things to say.
Please go.
It's very exciting. It's from listening to anyone speak about their team, I have become the most excited by your team and this strategy that I have not seen anywhere. Wow. I want to end my points by asking you about captaincy and what you're going to do each week, because I think that is important and that is the negative. However, I want to start with the positives.
Yeah.
I've kept the fixtures on screen for a while now in game week 2. And I think it's important to say that, we're not like in years, we've known really roughly when you can use your chips each season, and there is a best time to use them, and then there will be a best time to use them in the second half of the season once again, like when we have these guaranteed doubles and blanks that happen every year because of the cups. But given that we don't have that in the first half of the season, the only way it wouldn't be the best way of doing it, just like now or whenever you think is best, is if something random was to happen. Yes, that could happen. But yeah, you're right. With those AFCON free transfers as well, it's almost like a mini reset, mini wildcard, or even like a decent wildcard then. We've never had the ability to play 5 transfers before and then get them all back the next week. I mean, that's huge. So I don't know, it's crazy. Like so Gaming 1, the team looks really strong.
Yeah. Really, really strong.
We'll go back to that first, actually, just because that I don't even know if it's that worth it talking about the team rating, because it's like the bench boost isn't really incorporated in that, and it's very high. But I think for your team, I don't know, it's just so well set up and is not typical, and it's hard to compare to your sort of standard teams. Money more spread around, obviously, but yeah, the team looks really, really strong, as you said. Vast majority are home fixtures. In fact, all of them are, apart from one, in a dire way.
And I think I'll probably go for Kudus, I think.
Okay.
Over Njai. I'm very much 50-50 on it, but I think I'll go for Kudus if I get the early signs that, he and Solanke are going to be starting home to Burnley.
Then we move to game week 2, and the game week rating drops by 9% to 83%. You can tell even by the colour of the number. Fantasy Football Hub aren't that happy with it. But as you said, free hitting in that week, and you look at the fixtures of the players that you'd be getting rid of. Liverpool, perhaps, you've got 3 of them. They've got the 19th or the second worst fixture of any team that week. Yeah. Then you've got your Spurs players, 2 or 3 of them. Then your Forest players, you've got 2 of them. Even maybe Palmer, Cucurella, you'd get rid of them as well. Like it looks like a very, very strong week to go against the big teams. So that looks great. And then I also
just think on game week 2 there, I haven't got Bruno Fernandes for game week 1. They're home to Arsenal, but I can free hit him in game week 2 for the Fulham game. And I could also bring in Watkins as well, who has a home fixture. A pretty good fixture in game week 2 as well. And it's also worth adding as well that I don't actually have to use the free hit going into game week 2. So say, for example, things just play out that, do you know what, my team is fantastic. I can get in, I don't know, Salah gets injured game week 1, Salah to Saka, really easy move. Saka's the captain, or, someone to Gyökeres, or, kind of wherever it is. The plan is there, but obviously being a good fantasy manager is thinking, is being able to think on your feet as well. And you don't have to, you have to do it. But as it stands, I think I probably will.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And then game week 3 again, team is really strong. Wow. I really like it. I will ask you now about captaincy, because I think that is, as I said, like that is the drawback. And as you mentioned, if Salah does go crazy, then there's not much you can do about that. So just tell me game week 1 and game week 3, who are you going to captain?
I think I may end up going for Salah. I need to find 4 million, but I think I can find it pretty easily. Obviously, I go for Salah. I probably won't have Verts.
Okay.
And I can go down to a 5.5 or even a 4 or 5.5. Everton have in the last hour just signed Dewsbury Hall, who could be playing in the number 10 for 5 million. So straight away, that's 3.5 of the 4 I would need, and I just need to lose 500,000 somewhere else in the team. Like I say, there are players like Chris Wood, for example, who may not be nailed, and there's others as well. If a 4 million keeper comes up, I'll put them in ahead of Royce. As an example, I could go Milenkovic or Murillo down to Nico Williams to save 500,000 as well. So if I don't go for Salah, I'll probably captain either maybe Palmer potentially, but I still think there is the opportunity to go for Salah there.
Yeah.
Game week 2, it's one of the Arsenal players, obviously. Saka, Gyökeres. You get to see who the main person is. Well, it could be Bruno, it could be Palmer. Again, I can have any of those players because I'll be free hitting in game week 2. And game week 3, as I say, because in game week 3, Salah is home to Arsenal.
Yeah.
There's lots of options there, and I don't think at the moment it's probably really obvious who I'd captain. But looking at that, probably Palmer maybe.
Palmer's the suggestion. I think Fulham at home is a pretty good fixture.
Yeah, I think so. I like Spurs at Bournemouth as well. Bournemouth have obviously sold their whole defence and their keeper, which is why I'm a bit nervous about Salah on the opening night, which I probably will go with him. But I do think as well that if Bournemouth do look really bad in the opening 2 games, I'll have the choice of Solanke, Kudus, Porro, stick with Palmer. But this is the beauty of it, is you can see as the weeks are drawing along, you can see who is looking to be the standout player, because it could be that Salah hasn't looked that great in pre-season. I think he's only scored 1 goal and missed a penalty. Obviously, I know he's incredibly dangerous. I know he started the season really well. But there are, other teams and other players who are doing well in pre-season. And the way that Chelsea finished in the Club World Cup, they're not to be sniffed at. Parma and João Pedro are absolutely on fire. So I think there's lots of options. So yeah, it's very loose. It's very loose still, but...
Well, it is and it isn't, because you've got the structure in place of what you could potentially do. I know the players may change, but I like the fact that even though, you're not 100% sure on going without Salah, it doesn't, from what you've just said there, that there are good, solid ways to get him in and not defeat the entire purpose of the structure and what the plan is. Exactly
that, because I think even Palmer to Salah for the captaincy. What I don't want to do, right? I think I'm going to Fancy Football Fest on a Friday. What I don't want to do is do all this work, go to Fest, watch Salah score a hat-trick, and watch my whole season go down the drain by the time we finish drinks. But if I did do that, as I say, I could go Verts, down to, even Verts down to a 4.5 million would straight. I would still have the exact same team, all the the power defense with so much attacking potential, so much defensive contribution potential. The front 3 that I really want as well as a really, really top midfield, and hopefully go really aggressive into game week 2 and 3. I think we got to play this game right to be excited about it. I think I'm not the kind of player who just plods along making the template move, and being happy with like a top 100k finish. I just think I'm changing my whole outlook to playing this season. I'm going to play my own way. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Wow, it's very refreshing, and as I said, it is the most exciting sort of team reveal that I've seen so far. So thank you for that, and I hope the viewers have enjoyed it as well. Okay, now before we end this video though, something very important I've got to show you, Fergie. You can see it on screen right now. These are your AI recommended transfers for your team. They're personalized to your team from Fantasy Football Hub. And the great thing about this is that no matter what team you put in, no matter what manager you are, you can all do this with your teams, guys. It will give you personal recommendations. So it's not like, oh, these players are the best, let's chuck them into everyone's teams. It looks like every single player in your team and works out the best way of maximizing points. So according to Fantasy Football Hub, your recommended transfers are Solanke out for Beto, which is an interesting one.
Yeah.
But then Bruno Fernandes in for Rodgers. What do you think about that?
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it's because Solanke is potentially flagged because he's injured that he's thinking about that. But actually, I know Bruno. I know that AI really likes Bruno Fernandes, so maybe it is forcing it in. I think Everton have got Leeds in game week 1, so
Yeah.
that may be a good fixture. So I can't argue with those at all. I think they're solid transfers, and it's worth saying that we input my chip strategy down
Yes.
on the bottom of the
see down
screen.
here.
So I put the bench boost in for 1, free hit for 2, wild card for 4, and what that does, it takes it into account when you're making your transfers. Because I think if you probably took those off, it may recommend an Arsenal player, for example. But yeah, I can't argue with them at all. I think they're sensible. If you look at the difference between Fernandez and Rodgers there, it really does fancy Bruno, doesn't it? So it's giving me something to think about there, because I think Bruno is going to be really popular in game week 1. I think with the new, all the players around him, Cunha and Mbeumo, potentially a new forward as well as the fact that he looks nailed on for lots of defensive contribution points. Maybe I am overlooking him. Interesting, it hasn't recommended bringing in Salah, which is
Yeah, I mean, that's the main point. I think that is the main point from this. It's not saying rip up your entire strategy to just get someone like Salah in.
And that's what I love about this feature, is that it makes you think. That's the main thing. It makes you, it kind of highlights the points in your team that you need to improve, and it sometimes chucks in a couple of recommendations that you hadn't thought of. So, the Beto pick there frees up 2 million straight away, and Beto looks at the moment nailed for Everton up front. So potentially, if I did then die to Kudus to get my Spurs attacking cover, and Solanke to bet, that also frees up the 2 million potentially for me to get to Salah as well from Palmer.
Yeah.
So there's lots of interesting things there, and I love this feature. It's my favorite feature personally on the whole site, and it's not because I blindly follow them. It just makes me think all the time of where the weaknesses are in my team, and the AI is obviously far more superior in thinking about FPL strategy than I am, because it considers every single player, every single permutation before spitting this out. So yeah, good stuff.
Exactly. I think it's worth saying, like, if you do sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, which you can do right now, by the way, 50% off. If you want to win at FPL, it's the thing to do. Link down below in the description and the pinned comment. We're not saying like blindly follow these every week. I actually don't know how many times I necessarily did the exact transfers that were recommended to me by AI. But one thing I did do each week was always check this, just as a sort
Absolutely.
of, a different sort of opinion that obviously isn't an opinion because it's AI, but just to see if I was on the right sort of lines or if I'd missed a potential path or something like that. I think it's just such a useful tool. Again, link down below if you do want to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, and then take advantage of everything else you've seen in this video, the ability to go through each game week. I've not even had really a chance to show all the stats that we've got here in the Opta stats. You were mentioning there about defensive contributions. That's now all added to this insane stats page. I probably shouldn't be showing this, but whatever. You can see based on last season which players would have done the best for defensive contributions. There's loads more stats as well. All of that is on the site. And then we've got experts, team reveals, articles, loads of stuff. Price changed as well, which is just like, it's the best feature ever. It's so good. Obviously not there right now, but mate, I mean, I've probably missed out like probably dozens, maybe like hundreds of different features that Fantasy Football Hub has.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite one is player points predictions as well. That's one of my favorite ones, and for pro members, the WhatsApp groups is a thing which we it's hard to sort of advertise how good that is. It's a real sense of community in there. You join hundreds of like-minded managers chatting FPL all day and all night if you want to, throwing ideas around, supporting each other on match days. Absolutely crazy. They're really good fun. And that's a massive sort of undervalued, underrated part of the pro membership. So I'd highly recommend. You get the app, you get all the tools, you get the recommended transfers every single week, and that's the thing, is that what we've just shown. it's every week, right? It's your kind of your helping hand through the season, the WhatsApp groups, and then at the end of the season, if you don't win your mini league, you get your money back as well. I mean,
We haven't mentioned that
win.
yet, but yeah, ridiculous that we're running that once again this season. But there are T's and C's there. But if you don't win your mini league, you will have your whole membership refunded to you. Pretty insane. Link down below. You're so right about the WhatsApp groups as well. Like before Fantasy Football Hub was even much of a thing, or like these websites were much of a thing, that was like one of the main things I really enjoyed about fantasy football is watching the game. Maybe you're watching it on your own or with mates or whatever, but then being in the group chat as well, like with people that love fantasy. You might have a lot of friends that like football, but there's a difference when you're really into your fantasy and you're chatting to other people that are really into their fantasy.
Absolutely.
And you're watching a game at the same time, or you're chatting strategy, potential players, whatever. Yeah, but that's given to you if you sign up for a pro membership or above. Good stuff, mate. Really enjoyed that.
Awesome.
Amazing team.
Superb. I don't know about that. We'll see. I'll come back in game week 4 or 5, mate, and we'll see how amazing it is.
No, but you genuinely have made me consider this, because I don't think there are other options like that are obvious as to when to use these first half of the season chips. And also, I remember last year I used my assistant manager chip pretty early, and I thought this is going to be annoying. The rest of the season, I'm going to be thinking, well, all my mini league rivals have that assistant manager chip to use. And I'm always going to be thinking, am I really 20 points ahead, or am I actually, more like 5 points ahead because they've got that chip? I didn't actually think about it that much at all. They used it, they caught up a little bit, but then, as you mentioned earlier, I'd done well from being in the top of the league and just playing my normal game. And actually, I gained more points from the chip earlier than they did later. So
I think whilst your opponents are being distracted in the weeks between game week 4 and game week 13, trying to work out the best time to play their bench boost and making transfers to try and optimize bench boost.
Yeah.
Right. You're pushing your team forward every single week to your optimal team every week. And as I say, I feel it's undervalued. And I think that maybe me playing the other fantasy games, obviously, you mentioned won that prize in another game. There are similarities potentially with the way those games operate and with these sorts of strategies that FPL managers are maybe not that used to, using all these chips early doors, going off it really aggressively. An aggressive way of playing before was using all your chips in game week 1, 2, and 3, but then you're cooked for the season. You're not here. You still got all that stuff all backed up for the back end of the season. Really important. So I think I'll be back, mate, in game week 4 or 5. I'll be ranked like 400 in the world, and you can have that as a nice title for the next video.
Well, you've already given me an amazing title for this one, so yeah, yes please. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Mate, amazing to chat to you as always. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. If you don't know what the Green Arrow podcast is, then Fergie runs that. It's, as I said in the intro, it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, always has been, FPL podcast. So subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss that. When's the next podcast going to be, Fergie? This is coming out Thursday morning.
Yeah, we're actually doing live Green Arrow Thursday afternoon.
Oh, so there you go. Perfect.
4:30 on this channel. It's myself, Rich Clark, who I believe is officially the third best FPL manager of all time. And we've got Big Man Baka on this week as well. And next week, we're going to have Lovro on, who is the current, he's the reigning FPL champion. So we stream every week at 4:30ish every Thursday normally. Obviously, in pre-season it can differ a touch, but normally every week. Game week preview, lots of fun, lots of laughs. Rich with the intelligence, and me with the sort of crazy chip play. So hopefully it's you get that sort of mixture of intelligence and fun as well. So
absolutely. Good stuff, mate. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, link down below, and we will catch you on the next one.